Am I the a-hole for not apologizing for my part in my dad missing the birth of my half-brother? When I, 17M, was 9, my mom died after a long battle with cancer. It destroyed our small family. My dad basically shut down. He was barely functioning, just a shell of the man I once looked up to. For months, he rarely left the couch, barely spoke, didn't go to work, and certainly didn't parent. I remember quietly making myself cereal for dinner some nights, pretending I wasn't scared that I had lost both parents. Then 6 months later, everything changed. Too fast, if you ask me.
He met Laura.
Suddenly, he was alive again. It wasn't gradual. It was like someone flipped a switch. He met her, started smiling again, got dressed, shaved his beard. I wanted to be happy for him, but I wasn't. Because as soon as she entered the picture, it was like I disappeared. 7 months after meeting her, they got married. Not engaged, married. No one asked me if I was okay, if I needed help adjusting, or if I even liked her. I felt like the last piece of my mom vanished when he put on that new tux and said vows to someone else. By the time I was 11, Laura was pregnant. I remember sitting there as they told me. My dad was glowing, literally glowing, and I couldn't even fake a smile. I stormed out. I didn't even know where I was going, just away. I ended up at my uncle's house. My dad eventually followed me, and for the first time since mom died, I exploded. I told him everything I'd been bottling up for 2 years. How abandoned I felt. How replaced I felt. How angry I was that he jumped into a new life so fast while I was still grieving. He promised me that he would change, that he'd be more present, that I still mattered, that he'd make things right. I didn't trust him, but I gave him a chance. Or, more accurately, a challenge. I told him, if he really wanted to repair our relationship, he needed to give me time with just him, where he wasn't talking about Laura or the baby. Time where he didn't cancel on me because of them. I told him I needed more than one good moment. I needed consistency. I needed proof that I still mattered. Our first 2 attempts were a joke. He took calls from Laura, checked his phone constantly. He barely looked at me. By the 3rd time, I warned him. This was his last shot. Either he showed me I was a priority or we were done. Halfway through that 3rd attempt, he ignored a few calls. I could see him struggling, trying to be present, but also itching to check his phone. Then came the text. Laura had gone into labor. He showed it to me and asked if this was it. If going would mean breaking his promise and losing his last chance. I said yes. That was the deal. He stayed for about 40 more minutes, then said, "You'll have to forgive me one day," and left. By the time he got to the hospital, my half-brother had already been born. Laura never forgave me for that. My dad expected me to, I guess. He kept acting like everything was fine, like we could pick up where we left off. He kept pushing the baby on me, asking me to hold him, telling me how happy he was and how this was the best thing to happen to our family. But the whole time, he never once acknowledged that I had laid out my boundary, and he still left. And then there was the comment. I'll never forget it. I was standing in the kitchen when he told Laura, "I've never been this happy. I've never loved anyone as much as I love you and half-brother." Right in front of me. As if I wasn't even there. I walked out, and he genuinely didn't understand why I was upset. Our relationship went downhill fast after that. I stopped trying. Laura clearly wanted nothing to do with me. She was cold, passive-aggressive at first, and eventually just openly hostile. By the end of last year, she told my dad that I needed to live somewhere else. That I was toxic, angry, and not good for the kids. Instead of defending me, my dad said we all needed therapy. We started family therapy in March. But for months, it was just my dad talking. Laura and I were silent, 2 statues sitting across from each other. Then, about a month ago, Laura cracked. She broke her silence and went off. She said I had forced my dad to choose between being present for the birth of his child and staying loyal to his emotionally manipulative son. She said I was cruel, selfish, and immature. That she kept waiting for me to feel guilty. That I had ruined one of the most important moments of their lives. She blamed me completely. The therapist asked why she blamed me and not my dad. Laura said it was because I manipulated him. That I knew what I was doing when I gave him that last chance. That I set him up to fail because I couldn't handle him moving on. I didn't respond right away. It took me a few more sessions before I finally spoke up. But when the therapist asked me if I would ever apologize for my part in what happened, I said no. I said I didn't feel bad. And I meant it. I told them I didn't feel bad that my dad missed the birth because I was tired of being the backup plan. I was tired of him choosing everyone else and expecting me to be okay with it. That night just proved he would always prioritize his new life and expect me to just understand. Laura was furious. She said she didn't want me living in her house or near her children. She said I was emotionally stunted, bitter, and that she feared her kids would turn out like me if I stayed around. She called me cold, unfeeling, and accused me of having no conscience. My dad? He just sat there, nodded sometimes, stayed quiet most of the time, still acting like he didn't know how it got this bad. So, am I the a-hole for not apologizing?